In a world drowning in constant noise, where every thought feels pressured to be shouted and every opinion fiercely debated, the true masters of influence operate differently. They wield a power so profound, so subtle, that most people completely overlook it, the silent force that elevates them above the clamor, making their every word resonate with unparalleled authority. What if the very key to unlocking your untapped potential, to truly winning hearts and minds, lies not in speaking more, but in the deliberate mastery of thoughtful quiet? We're about to unveil insights that will fundamentally reshape how you interact with the world, showing you how silence isn't just an absence of sound, but a strategic tool for immense personal and professional impact. If you've ever wondered how to genuinely connect with others, to lead with quiet confidence, or to achieve your goals with persuasive grace, then this video holds secrets that echo the timeless wisdom championed by legends like Dale Carnegie himself. Stick with us until the very end, because the advice we're sharing will equip you with an advantage that the noisy masses can only dream of. And while you're here, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us bring more powerful, life-changing content like this directly to you. Have you ever truly observed the dynamics within a room where significant decisions are being made, or where influential conversations unfold? It's a fascinating study in human behavior. You might notice that often, the most powerful and respected individuals in that space are not the ones dominating the conversation. On the contrary, they are frequently those who utter the fewest words. These are the individuals who listen with an almost palpable intensity, who observe the subtle nuances of every interaction with a keen, discerning eye. And then, when they finally choose to open their mouths, when they select their words with the precision of a master artisan, a remarkable transformation occurs. Everyone else in the room leans in, eager, almost desperate, to absorb what they have to say. This is far from a mere coincidence. This, my friends, is the unmistakable power of purposeful silence in full effect. In a world that seems to worship noise, that enthusiastically rewards the loudest and most insistent voices, that perpetually demands your immediate attention and your constant verbal contributions, the art of silence has sadly become a forgotten, even neglected discipline. Yet, make no mistake about it, silence is emphatically not an absence of power. It is, in its purest form, power itself. The profound ability to remain thoughtfully quiet when others are clamoring desperately to be heard, to resist the impulsive urge to fill every conversational void, is a profound indicator of supreme self-control and an unshakable inner strength. Consider for a moment the great minds throughout history, the visionary leaders, the profound thinkers, the innovators who have fundamentally reshaped our world. Did they ascend to prominence by constantly announcing their intentions, broadcasting their every thought, or prematurely boasting about their grand plans? Most emphatically not. Instead, they toiled diligently and often unseen, working in focused, determined silence until their undeniable results spoke volumes, resonating far more powerfully than any spoken word ever could. Purposeful silence is an invaluable guardian of your most precious resource, your mental energy. Every single word you utter, every casual comment, every hurried explanation costs you something. It demands a portion of your attention, a slice of your focus, and a measure of your finite energy that could be far more effectively directed toward the pursuit of your most cherished goals. When you consciously choose to speak less, you automatically create a vast, fertile space within yourself to do more. This is not about becoming uncommunicative or aloof. It is about becoming profoundly intentional with both your words and your invaluable energy. It's about ensuring that when you do speak, your words carry weight, clarity, and purpose. The transformative power of silence extends far beyond simply restraining your speech in social settings. It encompasses a disciplined quieting of the incessant, often negative self-talk that can plague our minds. It means silencing the insidious whispers of excuses that prevent us from taking action. And it involves muting the myriad distractions, both external and internal, that constantly pull us away from our true purpose and potential. When you fully embrace purposeful silence, a subtle but profound shift occurs. You begin to hear the quiet whispers of opportunity, the fleeting insights, the subtle connections that are routinely drowned out by the constant, overwhelming chatter of modern life. You might reasonably wonder, How does one begin to harness this incredible power of silence in their own life, to integrate it into daily practice? The answer, while simple in its articulation, is profound in its application. Begin by committing to listen twice as much as you speak. This isn't merely a quaint saying, it's a foundational principle for understanding others, which is the bedrock of all effective human relations, as Dale Carnegie so eloquently taught. In meetings, resist the immediate urge to voice your opinion or to jump into the fray. Instead, consciously absorb what others are saying, process their words and underlying sentiments fully, seek to understand their perspective, and then, and only then if it is truly necessary and adds value, offer your carefully considered wisdom. Notice, truly notice, how people respond differently to your words when they emerge from a place of thoughtful, deliberate silence, rather than from a reactive, impulsive need to speak. Your words will carry greater authority, your insights will be more respected, and your influence will undeniably grow. Think of Muhammad Ali, widely considered one of the greatest boxers in history. He once famously said that the fight is won or lost, far away from witnesses in the gym on the road, long before he danced under those lights. His most significant victories were not won with his legendary verbal showmanship, but in the silent, grueling, often lonely hours of training when no one was watching. This is the essence of purposeful silence in action. Embrace this power. Allow your actions to crescendo, to build in impact and momentum, while your words remain measured, few, and impactful. Remember this powerful metaphor. A raging waterfall makes a tremendous amount of noise, but the deep ocean, with its immense and unyielding power, is silent. And it is precisely in the ocean's silent depths where true, profound power lies. Your journey to lasting success begins not with loud proclamations or grand announcements, but with quiet, resolute determination. Start today. Speak less. Listen more. Work diligently and often in silence, and then watch with satisfaction as your undeniable results begin to make all the noise you'll ever truly need. Why silence matters. Have you ever truly paused to take stock of just how incessantly noisy your life has become? This isn't merely about the audible noise, the constant hum of traffic, the blare of radios, the ceaseless notifications from our devices, though there is certainly an abundance of that. It extends much deeper, encompassing the unrelenting barrage of information, the overwhelming chorus of opinions, and the endless stream of distractions that relentlessly flood our consciousness from the moment we wake until we finally succumb to sleep. The modern world, with its proliferation of endless meetings, incessant digital chatter, and the constant demand for instant responses, has effectively created an environment where genuine silence has become an increasingly rare and precious commodity. This omnipresent noise is far from benign. It's not just an annoyance. Crucially, it is actively costing you your potential for profound success. When your mind is perpetually bombarded with an overwhelming torrent of information, when it is constantly reacting to external stimuli, it becomes virtually impossible to engage in deep, meaningful thought. There is no space left for profound reflection, for the kind of strategic planning that separates true leaders from mere responders. The pervasive noise of modern life has without doubt become the greatest thief of your true potential. But the problem, tragically, extends even deeper than a simple loss of productivity. This relentless noise profoundly impacts your ability to make sound, well-considered decisions. When you are perpetually caught in a cycle of reacting to the latest emergency, responding to the most recent email, or being pulled into yet another conversation, you systematically lose the vital mental space required for strategic thinking. The deafening noise crowds out the essential silence that is absolutely required for true wisdom to emerge. Consider the example of John F. Kennedy, a leader known for his clear-headedness and foresight. He famously made it a regular practice to schedule dedicated thinking time in his demanding presidential calendar. These were not optional luxuries. They were non-negotiable blocks of time where he would deliberately retreat from the relentless chaos and pressures of the Oval Office to simply reflect, to ponder deeply, and to meticulously consider the most pressing and complex issues facing the nation. These quiet periods were, for him, absolute necessities for cultivating the kind of clear-headed leadership that defined his presidency. They allowed him to transcend the immediate clamor and tap into a deeper wellspring of wisdom. To reclaim this vital silence, you must be intentional. Begin by creating physical spaces in your life that actively invite and foster silence, even if it's as simple as designating a specific corner of your home where you can sit undisturbed for just 15 minutes each day. Having a dedicated place for quiet reflection can profoundly transform your thinking. It becomes a sanctuary for your mind. The great industrialist Andrew Carnegie, a master of wealth and influence, understood this deeply. He had a special, secluded room in his home where he would regularly retreat to think without any distraction whatsoever, a practice he credited significantly to his extraordinary and sustained success. He knew that the clarity required for making monumental decisions simply could not emerge amidst constant conversation and frenetic activity. Silence matters profoundly, because it is only in silence that certain crucial mental processes can truly occur. It is in the depths of silence that you can connect seemingly disparate ideas, forming the innovative breakthroughs that drive progress. It is in silence that you can genuinely reflect on your true priorities, rather than merely reacting to whatever screams loudest for your attention. It is in silence that you can finally hear the subtle, wise voice of your own inner wisdom, rather than constantly absorbing and internalizing the opinions and anxieties of others. The pervasive noise of modern life, with its endless distractions and demands, is relentlessly trying to rob you of your greatest asset, your inherent ability to think with crystal clarity and to act with unwavering decisiveness. Do not surrender this invaluable power willingly. Fight for your silence. Protect it with the ferocity you would protect any precious resource, for in a world that, on the surface, seems to value noise above all else, the profound ability to consciously cultivate and embrace silence has become an enormous competitive advantage. Choose silence strategically. Integrate it into the fabric of your daily life, and then observe with wonder as your mental clarity, your decisiveness, and ultimately your exceptional results begin to profoundly separate you from the noisy, distracted, and often overwhelmed masses. Observing before acting. Have you ever truly paid close attention to how the most successful individuals navigate new situations, whether in business, social circles, or personal endeavors? It's a compelling study. They seldom, if ever, reveal their hand immediately. There's no impulsive blurting out of opinions, no desperate need to dominate the conversation. Instead, they exhibit a remarkable discipline. They watch, they wait, they meticulously observe, and only then, with a deep well of understanding, do they act with astonishing precision and maximum impact. This is not some random occurrence or a stroke of luck. This, my friends, is silence wielded as a deliberate, powerful strategy, and it stands as one of the most potent approaches you can possibly adopt in your unwavering quest for lasting achievement. When you step into any new situation, be it a high-stakes business negotiation, a complex social gathering, or even simply starting a new role or project, there's an almost instinctive pressure to immediately prove yourself. The urge is strong to speak up, to show what you know, to demonstrate your value right away. However, this perfectly natural impulse, while well-intentioned, often leads to premature action based on incomplete or even flawed information. It's like a chess player making a move without fully understanding the board. The strategic deployment of silence, on the other hand, grants you the immense advantage of gathering crucial intelligence, of fully comprehending the landscape before you ever make your definitive move. Consider the grandmaster of chess, who, before touching a single piece, intently studies the entire board, anticipating multiple moves ahead. Or think of the truly skilled negotiator, who with an almost uncanny patience allows the other party to speak first, revealing invaluable information about their position, their needs, and their vulnerabilities. This strategic silence is anything but passive. It is, in fact, intensely active. It is a concentrated, deliberate gathering of data, a meticulous absorption of nuances that will ultimately inform a far more effective and impactful action. It's about listening, not just to the words, but to the tone, the body language, the unspoken desires, much as Dale Carnegie taught us to genuinely understand others before attempting to influence them. The great military strategist Sun Tzu, in his timeless classic The Art of War, understood this principle with profound clarity when he advised that all warfare is based on deception. By remaining strategically silent about your own intentions, while diligently and carefully observing your competition, you gain a tremendous tactical advantage. This isn't about malice, it's about wisdom. You gather information, you identify patterns, and you uncover weaknesses or opportunities that remain invisible to those who are too busy talking, too busy projecting, too busy being heard. This same fundamental principle applies with equal power in the realms of business, in personal development, and in virtually every competitive arena you encounter. Mahatma Gandhi, despite being a figure of immense and powerful influence, was often remarkably silent during critical meetings. He spoke only when it was absolutely necessary, and his words, chosen with meticulous care and profound insight, were delivered with such deliberate thought that they carried extraordinary impact. His strategic use of silence amplified the weight and significance of every statement he chose to make. So, how do you practically implement this profound strategy of observant silence in your own life? Begin by approaching every new situation with the mindset of an anthropologist. Before asserting yourself or offering solutions, dedicate yourself to observing the cultural norms, the underlying power dynamics, the unspoken rules, and the true motivations of the people involved. In meetings, consciously practice being the second or third person to speak, rather than immediately jumping in as the first. This allows you to absorb others' ideas, to see the full spectrum of perspectives, and then to build upon them from a position of superior, more comprehensive information. When you enter negotiations, cultivate a deep resistance to the urge to fill uncomfortable silences. Often, the person who speaks first in response to a void in conversation is the one who concedes valuable ground. Train yourself to become genuinely comfortable with these quiet moments, utilizing them as invaluable opportunities to observe reactions, to gather intelligence, and to allow the other party to reveal more than they intended. This strategy of silence also extends to how you handle your personal successes and your ambitious plans. When you're diligently working toward an important goal, there's often a subtle social pressure, or even an internal urge, to announce your intentions publicly. Yet, extensive psychological research consistently shows that merely talking about your plans can give you a premature sense of accomplishment, a kind of false finish line, which paradoxically reduces the likelihood that you will put in the actual, often arduous, work necessary to truly achieve them. The most determined and successful achievers frequently work in quiet, focused silence, allowing their undeniable results to speak for themselves when the time is truly ripe. Strategic silence grants you the invaluable space to observe patterns that others miss entirely, to identify opportunities that remain completely invisible to those who are too busy talking or too caught up in the noise of the moment. It enables you to act from a position of superior knowledge and insight when the opportune moment finally arrives. It fundamentally transforms you from a merely reactive participant into a strategic player, one who actively shapes circumstances rather than simply responding to them. Embrace silence as your defining strategy. Watch more, seek less, gather intelligence with meticulous care before ever making your move. And then, when you do finally act, do so with the full, undeniable power of comprehensive understanding behind you, ensuring your actions are impactful and enduring. The connection between silence and self-mastery. Have you ever deeply pondered why the truly great masters in any field, be it leadership, art, science, or business, seem to possess an unusual and remarkable degree of composure, an inner stillness that sets them apart? There exists a profound, often overlooked connection between the cultivation of silence and the achievement of genuine self-mastery, a connection that has been recognized and practiced by the highest achievers throughout the annals of history. When you make the conscious commitment to learn and embrace silence, you embark upon a transformative journey towards mastering yourself. And let us be clear, true self-mastery is not merely beneficial. It is the fundamental prerequisite for mastering anything else of significance in your life. The pathway to self-mastery begins, fundamentally, with self-awareness. And here is the crucial insight. Genuine, unadulterated self-awareness emerges only in silence. It is in those quiet, undisturbed moments when you are not performing for others, when you are not constantly reacting to a barrage of external stimuli, that you can truly see yourself as you are, without the filters and distortions of external expectations. It is in these moments of profound stillness that your authentic self begins to reveal itself. Your inherent strengths and your underlying weaknesses, your deepest and most genuine desires, your unspoken fears, and your authentic, unvarnished voice. These crucial elements of self-understanding do not reveal themselves amidst the cacophony of social interaction or the relentless noise of daily life. They emerge, subtly but powerfully, in the profound silence of honest, unvarnished self-reflection. Consider for a moment how incredibly difficult it is to hear your own true thoughts, to discern your deepest inclinations when you are constantly enveloped by the overwhelming opinions, demands, and projections of others. The pervasive habit of external noise, be it from social media, constant communication, or even just the background hum of daily life, effectively drowns out the subtle, often gentle voice of your deeper wisdom, the voice of your intuition. But when you consciously create dedicated space for silence, a miraculous shift begins to occur. You start to clearly distinguish between the thoughts that are truly yours, springing from your own inner core, and those you have simply absorbed from your environment, from the collective consciousness, from the prevailing narrative. This vital discernment is not merely helpful, it is absolutely essential for achieving authentic, meaningful, and enduring success. The great industrialist Andrew Carnegie, a man who built an empire, regularly practiced daily periods of silence and deep reflection. He explicitly credited these periods for many of his most important and innovative business insights. He understood, with profound clarity, that the kind of crystal-clear vision and decisive clarity needed for making monumental decisions simply could not emerge amidst constant conversation and frenetic, reactive activity. However, the symbiotic relationship between silence and self-mastery extends far beyond just clarity of thought. It profoundly impacts emotional self-regulation, which is arguably the most crucial skill for achieving long-term success in any endeavor, whether personal or professional. When you diligently practice sitting with silence, you simultaneously practice sitting with yourself and with your emotions, without immediately reacting to them, without succumbing to their momentary sway. Think about how quickly most people respond when they are criticized, even mildly. There is an almost instantaneous, often unconscious impulse to defend, to explain, or even to counterattack. But what if instead you met criticism with a momentary, deliberate silence? This pause, this infinitesimally small but immensely powerful space between the external stimulus and your internal response, is precisely where your true power lies. It is in this profound silence that you can consciously choose your response, rather than being compulsively driven by automatic, often regrettable reactions. This is the essence of emotional intelligence. So, how do you intentionally develop and strengthen this vital connection between silence and self-mastery in your own life? Begin by scheduling regular, non-negotiable periods of solitude. This means time when you are completely disconnected from all external input. No music, no television, no phone calls, no social media, no conversation. Just you and your own thoughts, allowing them to surface without judgment. This practice, while it may feel profoundly uncomfortable at first, gradually builds your capacity for deep self-awareness, allowing you to confront and understand your inner landscape. Next, cultivate the habit of the pause. This is the deliberate insertion of silence before you respond to challenging or emotionally charged situations. When confronted with a provocation, train yourself as a deliberate act of will to take 3 deep, calming breaths before you utter a single word. This deceptively simple habit creates the essential space for your higher faculties, your reason, your empathy, your long-term vision, to engage rather than allowing your more primitive, reactive brain to drive impulsive, potentially damaging behavior. The ultimate expression of this powerful connection is the profound ability to maintain an inner silence, an unshakable stillness, even amidst external chaos and overwhelming demands. This does not mean becoming unresponsive or detached. Rather, it means that your responses, when they do emerge, come from a place of centered awareness, of deliberate choice, rather than triggered reactivity. When you achieve this profound level of self-mastery, you become virtually unstoppable. Why? Because external circumstances no longer dictate your actions. Instead, your deeply aligned purpose and your inner wisdom do. The silent self-mastery connection creates a powerful, virtuous, upward spiral. As you diligently practice silence, you invariably develop greater self-mastery. And as your self-mastery grows, you become even more comfortable with and adept at embracing silence. This virtuous cycle continues, progressively setting you apart from those who remain slaves to external stimuli, to fleeting trends, and to their own unchecked, impulsive desires. Embrace silence as the clear pathway to self-mastery. In a world often characterized by reactive individuals, Make the conscious choice to become the responsive one. In a culture driven by impulsiveness, cultivate deliberate, intentional action. Let silence be the powerful forge in which you tirelessly hammer out your unshakable character, a character that stands firm amidst any storm. How the quiet mind discovers opportunity. Have you ever experienced that peculiar phenomenon where your most brilliant, innovative ideas seem to strike you not during intense, focused work, but rather in moments of quiet contemplation, perhaps while taking a shower, going for a leisurely walk, or simply sitting in calm solitude with your thoughts? This is far from mere chance. It's a profound insight into the mechanics of true creativity and discovery. There exists a direct and powerful relationship between cultivating a quiet, uncluttered mind and the remarkable ability to discover exceptional opportunities that remain completely invisible to others. In today's relentlessly competitive and information-saturated world, why is it that some individuals consistently manage to uncover groundbreaking opportunities where others, looking at the exact same data, see absolutely nothing beyond the obvious? The fundamental difference lies not in their access to information, for information is abundant, but in their unique capacity to process that information in novel, insightful ways. And this invaluable process happens primarily in states of profound mental quietude. When your mind is perpetually buzzing with noise, whether it originates from external sources, the constant ding of notifications, the clamor of conversations, the endless stream of news, or from your own incessant internal dialogue, you operate in what psychologists refer to as narrow focus mode. This mental state is admittedly excellent for executing routine tasks, for checking off items on a to-do list, and for engaging in logical, step-by-step problem solving. However, it is utterly terrible for making truly creative connections between disparate ideas, for noticing subtle but crucial patterns, or for generating the kind of innovative insights that lead to breakthroughs. The quiet mind, by profound contrast, activates what is known as diffuse thinking. This is a relaxed, open mental state where your brain is free to make unexpected associations, to wander across diverse concepts, and to generate insights that rigid, logical thinking simply cannot produce. It's in this state that the subconscious does its most valuable work, quietly weaving together fragments of information into a cohesive, novel understanding. Consider the legendary Albert Einstein, whose groundbreaking theories revolutionized physics. He famously claimed that words and language played practically no role in his actual mechanism of thought. Instead, he relied heavily on images, feelings, and abstract musical forms, allowing ideas to coalesce in visual and muscular forms before he ever translated them into conventional language. This profound process demanded and received long periods of contemplative silence, what might have looked like doing nothing to an outside observer, but which was, in fact, the very crucible of his genius. So, how do you intentionally cultivate this invaluable quiet mind that consistently discovers hidden opportunities? First, you must fundamentally recognize that detecting opportunities requires a distinctly different mental state than executing them. While effective execution thrives on sharp focus and intense concentration, genuine discovery flourishes in relaxed, open awareness. Therefore, consciously schedule regular periods in your day where your explicit goal is not to accomplish anything specific. This is time for your mind to simply wander, to explore and to make those unexpected, fertile connections that lead to novel ideas. Practice what Eastern traditions have long called mindfulness, the profound art of being fully present in the moment, without judgment, simply observing what is. This isn't about emptying your mind of all thoughts. It's about quieting the incessant evaluation, categorization, and analysis that normally occupies your thinking. When you simply observe without immediately analyzing or judging, you begin to notice subtleties, nuances, and connections that your overly analytical mind would typically filter out as irrelevant. Furthermore, create physical environments that actively support mental quietude. The constant visual clutter, the incessant background noise, the fragmented design of many workspaces, all of these factors relentlessly tax your brain's processing power, leaving significantly less capacity for the subtle pattern recognition that reveals true opportunity. Seek out simplicity, order, and calm in your surroundings. Finally, strategically use what we might call strategic incompletion to activate your quiet mind. When working on a particularly complex problem, deliberately step away from it before it is fully solved. Go for a walk, take a shower, or simply sit quietly. Your subconscious mind, unburdened by conscious effort, continues to work on the problem, often delivering elegant, unexpected solutions precisely when you least expect them. The quiet mind discovers opportunity because it deliberately moves beyond the deafening noise of consensus thinking. When everyone is looking in the same direction, when everyone is talking about the same trends, when everyone is frantically chasing the same apparent opportunities, the real breakthroughs, the truly transformative insights, inevitably lie elsewhere. They reside in the spaces between established categories, in the questions that have not yet been asked, and in the insoluble problems that others have long given up on. Cultivate your quiet mind as your greatest competitive advantage. In a world that is increasingly automating routine thinking, the premium placed on creative insight and novel connections will only continue to grow exponentially. The truly valuable opportunities of tomorrow will be discovered not by those who process information the fastest, but by those who possess the profound capacity to see the subtle, underlying patterns that emerge only in the fertile ground of silence. In the complex symphony of modern life, where the prevailing rhythm often leans towards constant noise and incessant communication, the profound simplicity of silence emerges not as a mere absence, but as an extraordinarily powerful, often underestimated tool. It is a strategic asset for those who seek not just to exist, but to truly excel and make a lasting impact. By intentionally learning to cultivate and embrace silence in our daily lives, we unlock a multitude of benefits that permeate every facet of our being and interactions. We dramatically enhance our ability to concentrate, cutting through the endless distractions that plague so many. We sharpen our discernment, allowing us to make decisions that are not only quicker, but fundamentally wiser and more effective. We build deeper, more meaningful relationships because true listening, born from silence, is the bedrock of understanding and empathy. And ultimately, we achieve our most ambitious objectives with a clarity and efficacy that would be unattainable amidst the constant clamor. Silence, you see, is far more than just the cessation of noise. It is an active, dynamic force that we can consciously employ to profoundly enhance our lives in countless ways. It is the fertile ground from which clarity springs, the quiet forge where resilience is tempered, and the hidden wellspring from which genuine insight flows. By purposefully adopting and integrating the discipline of silence into our daily routines, we empower ourselves to tap into its transformative power, leading to a life not only of greater influence and profound accomplishment, but also of a serene inner peace that can withstand any external storm. Embrace the quiet, discover the power within.